If you look at the American parapsychology, you can see that it belongs to a different era. And you can see that it's mainly on Eurocentric worldview. So we have to move on. Now, culture important, we all talk about that, so that I just skip that, so we have time. Now, today my main emphasis is on the concept of suffering. Now, suffering has a bad name. People do not realize that in life, many of the good things come from overcome suffering. So today I want to talk about existential parapsychology. It is the science of the study of how to live well, how to die well, and how to navigate the dynamic balance between happiness and suffering, which constitute the yin-yang part of the Tai Chi symbol. From the perspective of existential parapsychology, to end or transcend suffering is the beginning of happiness. And that is the most promising way to flourish. And this view seems to be well accepted in China and in India, in Africa, but have difficulty in North America. Now, very recently, during the pandemic and post-pandemic, American psychology began to recognize the importance of suffering, okay? Although it's always recognized in the traditional culture. There are several books on the virtue of suffering. This is one book called about Life is Bittersweet. In my foreword to the recent book to suffering, I said, the problem of suffering was posed to Silliman short after launching parapsychology in 1998, that's more than 20 years ago. His answer for the 2003 newsletter was, more commonly, we overcome trouble by doing iron-runs around them by deploying our high strength as buffer against the setback of life. However, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to maneuver around suffering, especially when existential suffering is part of us. We cannot escape from ourselves. Now, about karma, okay? That we always choose to choose, but we are not free from the consequence of choice. So therefore, we always suffer the consequences by causing other people to suffer. And C.S. Lewis, a famous Christian writer, saying that God used suffering as the loudspeaker to wake us up from our slumber, from our illusion, from our selfishness, to learn the importance of self-transcendence. Okay. Now today, I'm focused on the 7 principles of self-transcendence, which is initially proposed by Frankl. Okay. Self-transcendence works in 2 ways. One way is to transcend our ego, our limitations, by sinking our roots in the dark soil of suffering, so that it can grow. The second aspect of self-transcendence is reaching out to a highest ideal. We can call God, we can call it Buddha, or whatever you want. Which striving toward our highest ideal so that we can grow tall and spread our branches and fruits to serve common good. The third point is accept life as it is with gratitude. We have embraced our dark side, our limitations, and learn to live with our undesirable part, which we're trying to suppress or try to ignore. The second part is to accept the reality of death. We can live as if we never die. People live as if they never die. To accept death as part of a life cycle. And therefore, we can consider death as our lifelong teacher. Teach you how to make our days count, how to live a worthwhile life. Now, true positivity is to be able to see and be the light in the darkest time. Okay? So we accept life is with gratitude, because existential gratitude does not depend on counting the three good things, but with a gratitude for being alive. Mom, I'm still alive. That we're able to appreciate and enjoy every moment of life. That's how we feel really alive. The second principle is believe that we can create a better future with God's help or with providence. Faith, by definition, faith is hope. Hope for a better future. Faith is confidence that we can create something, we can actualize something we do not see. And Martin Luther King says that when he take the first step, when his first step of human rights movement, he could not foresee what would happen, but he did it by faith. Eventually, he lost his life. Similarly, impossible things in life are accomplished by people who are facing their visions. The third thing is to commit yourself to a worthy goal. There are all kinds of goals in life. Life is an experiment. We never know what's the best investment. So you better be careful how you bet your life, how you gamble your future. If you gamble your future on a misguided goal of life, then you pay dearly for your mistakes. Okay? So Emmons, the famous parapsychologist, says that the direct pursuit of happiness can be counterproductive, but research indicates that happiness is often a byproduct of participating in worthwhile projects. So therefore, direct pursuit of happiness could be a source of misery. So the wise thing to do is pursue something worthwhile. And the happiness is a byproduct. And Frankl talk about love, kindness. So that should be our main life goal. The fourth point is that the first principle is to discover the hidden treasures in life by digging deeper. If we do not improve ourselves, constantly will be either become stagnant or go backward. As if in Chinese saying that you paddle a boat upstream, if you keep on working, you go downstream. The most precious thing in life are often on the other side of fear. All the treasures just are hidden inside that cave. If you are afraid to go in, you never get your treasure. If you dig deep enough, search wide enough, you will always find a way out, always get what you're looking for. I always tell students, I can find it on the internet, I don't know how to solve the problem. My advisor said, all the information can be found in Google. You have to dig deeper. You search your soul deeper. You think harder, think deeper. If you dig keeper can always find the soul, find your soul, find the treasures. And Christopher Reeve saying that you want an exciting adventure, don't stay on the shallow end. You have to have the courage to venture out. The number 5 talk about the right kind of happiness. True happiness is know how to enjoy inner peace and harmony in the midst of a storm. So it needs to be learned to be at peace with yourself and to resolve your inner conflict. And here are some activities that you can do to boost your selfless happiness. More and more research show that the best kind of happiness is selfless or mature happiness. You can count your blessings, you can count your suffering. You can practice the golden rule of loving your neighbor as yourself. You can write a apology letter to repair relationship. You can practice mindfulness, mindful and meaningful living. So these are some of the things that you can do to add some depth to your life. So the best part of your life is bittersweet. Okay? It's not all sunshine. Okay? So how do you do it? The fundamental thing is that to transcend our selfishness, our innate selfishness, to learn how to love others as ourselves. Okay? Love, compassion is necessity, not luxury. Okay? And this is a famous Albert Schweitzer, a medical doctor in Africa. His main philosophy is reference for life and love life. All life is secret. Therefore, we need to have a sense of reference for all of life. Your man lost his reference for any part of life. He will lose his reference for all of life. So we need to value all of life, not just our relatives or friends. The final thing of getting in trouble is this is very important. To fear God and obey commandments. My colleague will shoot me for saying that. But fear of God or higher power is needed in order for us to stay within our boundary, in order to fear the consequences of doing bad things. Human tragedies, most of the human suffering occur because we try to play God. Someone like Hitler, Stalin, or Putin, they can attack people, kill innocent people without fear that God will hold them accountable. If there's no fear of God, anything is possible. Voltaire said that if God doesn't exist, we need to create a God to fear so that we will not do over things to other human beings. It's a fear of God. God is watching us. Chinese people talk about Lao Tianye, the sky God. God is watching you. Now don't do something that violates human nature, violates the natural law. You pay for it. Without this kind of fear, there's nothing to prevent from crazy people to do awful things to other human beings. Now, this is a lesson we can learn from Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve is saying, Adam and Eve's sin not imputed to us. We repeat their mistake. That is, we try to be as smart and wise as God. That, we are smart now. We're technology or science. We can do as we want. We can do as we wish. We're not afraid that God will punish us. without a sense of fear, with a sense of fear of consequences, people do horrible things to other people. So my conclusion is that the first 5 principles, I consider them as the five little stones that can defeat any Goliath, any giants, any problems. The last 2 principles are the moral foundations that tell us what to do, what not to do. There had to be some universal principles of benevolence and doing no harm. So this is the primary teaching of every religion of the golden rule of benevolence. And here is the universal ethic of no malfeasance, doing no harm. So thank you for your interest, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much.